Hello everybody and welcome back to our channel. Today we'll be reviewing the Freeport boiserie bed with integrated panels, integrated bedside cabinets. Let's dive in. As we said multiple times, this is a review of this very specific composition and we can create loads of different compositions. This is 345 from right to left. It's 130 centimeters high on this right side and it is 210 centimeters deep. The Freeport boiserie bed system is actually comprised of two parts, the bed perimeter and the back panels. Let's start from the bed perimeter, a SOMMIER bed, which is actually freestanding, but it's never offered on its own and it's always offered together to the relative boiserie panels. And we have 6 versions totally, 3 wooden and lacquer and 3 upholstered versions. These versions are the 90 degrees joint version for laminate materials. It's a good way to have a very cost-effective SOMMIER bed. Then we have the 45 degrees lacquered and wooden version, very nice details. Then you have the rounded curved version, curved corners version, which is available in lacquer and wood. And then you have the upholstered versions. And here we see this very version, which is with the straight panels. Then you have a very similar version with the rounded panels, if you want, let's say, a more contemporary look and slightly less modern. And then you have a similar version just with a shallower bed perimeter and higher feet. All these 6 versions of bed perimeters are available in 4 different widths. Here I'm sitting on the standard Italian version, which is 160 by 200 centimeters. Then we start from the large single, which is 120. Then we have the French double, which is 140. And the king, in addition to the standard 160, we have the 180, which is the king size. Most of these versions of bed perimeters are also available with the storage box option. It is always available when you have a high storage unit underneath, and the system is rather standard with a very well finished metal frame with the wooden staves. So let's talk about the boiserie from which the Freeport boiserie bed system takes the name. So we have all sorts of panels in terms of dimensions. We can have many widths and we have multiple heights on which we can create these sort of compositions. And we can, when we are designing a room, a bedroom, we can decide how many panels we want to put together. And so if we use more panels, we can have a more fragmented look. If we use less panels, we use bigger panels and we have so less vertical and horizontal lines. Of course, when we use multiple panels, we can opt to use multiple materials and ways of building these panels. For example, here we see lacquer panels. All the lacquer panels are 4.4 centimeters thick because it's 2.2 of the panel itself and 2.2 of the back panel. And here we see a lacquer version in the color tortora, dove gray, with the same shapes and details. We can have the wooden and laminate versions. And we move on to the upholstered panels. Upholstered panels, as you see, are actually planned in terms of dimensions to combine well together with the wooden and lacquer panels. And for the upholstered panels, we have 2 versions. We have the rounded version, which has a thickness of 8.7 centimeters. And the aim of these rounded versions is to have more feeling so that when you're sitting on the bed, maybe you are resting your back here and your higher shoulders here, you have a more comfortable backrest. So it is a mix between comfort and decoration. And then we can see how we have the upholstered flat panel. We said that this one, which is curved, is 8.7, while this one is 5.7. So if you look at it from the side, you can actually perceive how the depth changes. And I can tell you that, yes, these have some feeling, but you can feel the structure underneath, while with this one, you can actually press the feeling underneath, and so you can imagine how it will be more comfortable. Of course, the upholstered panel can be manufactured in any sort of cover, and here we see the smack fabric, which is an anti-stain fabric, very practical, and we can use all fabrics and leathers and faux leathers of our complete collection. So in this composition here, you see how we matched the wooden mason bedside tables with the Freeport lacquered panels, with the Freeport upholstered panels with the smack fabric, and here we can easily see how we matched this fabric to the fabric of the bed perimeter. But I invite you to imagine a different sort of Freeport composition where, for example, you don't have, here we have three materials, wood, lacquer and fabric. Let's imagine a composition which is completely made in fabric or with two materials instead of three. In that case, we could actually combine multiple fabrics and we could create a nice new match that could suit your taste in a different way. I'd like to point out a technical detail about how to match the boiserie panels together with the bedside tables. And here you see that the panels appears to be resting on the bedside table. Instead, the panel is actually attached onto the wall and the bedside table actually slides underneath the panel. Well, you can build these sort of compositions in two ways. You can do, as you see here, or in other situations, you could imagine the panel going down below to the floor, or just slightly above the plinth if you have a sidekick, okay? And in that case, the bedside table will rest against the panel that goes towards the floor. Not only you can customize your Freeport boiserie in terms of dimensions and materials, for example, you could go up to the wall, to the ceiling, but you can also customize it in terms of accessories. For example, you can have metal accessories like metal shelves, you can have a high leather pouch which is attached onto the panels. You can have these open compartments which are very nice, not only in terms of actual use, but also because you can create a variation in terms of colors. And then you can have lighting, and you can have two spotlights. For example, you could have a spotlight here, or if you had a lacquered panel on the other side, you could have a couple of spotlights, and you can have LED lighting, LED strips, and there are two types. There's the back panel strip, which is actually hidden in the recessed space, which is created by the back supporting panel, which supports the finished panel that you see here in the front, and it creates a very nice ambient lighting. Or you can actually insert a LED strip in between two panels, and in terms of lighting it does create less perceived light, but it's also a nice effect. So we've come to the end of today's product review about the Freeport boiserie bed with integrated panels and integrated bedside tables. I hope that you liked it, and see you next time.